See, Mr. Balich would like to speak. Mr. Balich.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're explaining that's just a plan, it's not written in stone, but I wanted to make sure it was done correctly. And everybody understands that when we vote for the plan, it's not like we're putting it in stone. So all the times that we voted in the past for the plan, it can change. And which it did with 143rd Street. It changed drastically. So I asked the speaker if we can, after, I think it was 2 months, 1 month ago, or 2 months ago, I forget which it was, but don't matter. We were arguing about that same thing. You came up with changeability. Well, a resolution is going to come to the executive committee and it's going to explain in a resolution form that when we vote for these plans, it's just so you have something to move forward with to get grants and whatever else you need. It's not written in stone. So people that, like I voted for that thing probably 5, 6 times in the plan because we're voting for a plan. We're not voting for the project. We're voting for the plan so you can move forward. Well, we're going to get that language fixed. So I thank Mr. Pelkey and the speaker for bringing that forward next week at the executive. But when you say it's a plan, well, I would say about 1.5 years ago, all this started with 143rd Street. If it's a plan, well, why couldn't we change it? You know, there's enough people that are dead against it. So when we call it a plan, and then it came up in conversations, you know, a plan, yeah, it's a plan, but we budget for it every year. So it becomes not a plan. It becomes part of what's going to actually happen. That's why we're going to have this resolution to make sure it's a plan. But what do we do with 143rd Street? And then there's a road by, I think, Butler's district, Manhattan Monee Road. I sent you the mayor there, or I think he's the mayor. He's all aggravated that that's going in. So, you know, I mean, we have to start listening to the local people. You know, otherwise we're going to end up with a bunch of really big problems here because our local people are not being representative right for a plan. And it's not, like I said, it's not a plan. So if it's not a plan, why didn't 1.5 years ago, when everybody was against it, the county board voted against it, and it was vetoed, which is legal. And then the township, well, I was supervisor, we sued the county executive for vetoing it, but that's what they said was the best way to stop it. But now I'm not the supervisor anymore, so the new supervisor has not issued another lawsuit. But if I was there, you'd have another lawsuit. So the problem that I got with this is that I get it, it's a plan, but what do we do with what happened 1.5 years ago? We just shut our eyes and pretend it's not a plan 1.5 years ago? Or is it 1.5 years ago, is it too late? Because they haven't broke ground yet, actually, over on 143rd yet. So it's not too late. So I don't get it. I don't get why it's a plan, but everybody's against the plan. Now, we haven't voted as a board with a new board. And that's why the case was dismissed, because there's a new board. But, okay, so we haven't done that. So if we vote as a new board, what happens then? If we vote to stop it as a new board, then what happens? I'm just guessing that it's still going to go forward.
The plan reflects all the contracts we have on hand.
But
If there are changes to a contract, that will be reflected in next year's plan.
so how do we stop this thing from the county level without going to court and without any of the other stuff? If the county board votes no to it, like I tried to have it removed from the plan last month, and that's where this came from. So if it's getting removed from the plan, then that really doesn't kill the project. It's removed from the plan. So there's further discussion about it. right?
Well, the plan is from the statute, it's the county engineer prepares the plan, and I prepare it off the contracts I have in my office. That's what this is. I can't help, I can't change, I can't change what the contract says.
Well, you follow the word, there's a problem. I mean, we've been trying to stop this road for a year and a half at least, probably longer. So at that point, okay, why do we have to go through this whole process? If people don't want it, okay, and it's not like a bunch of NIMBYs, only the people who live there. You're talking about the entire Homer Township area, the entire one. Dave Oxley's not here. His district is in that. Sherry's district is in that. Oh, there he is. I'm looking over there. You know what I mean? This is like ridiculous. There's a lot of people involved with this. And yet we voted no. And then it still goes on. And I know I was getting calls just like everybody else, from the Will County Government League and everyone else telling us about how it's a very important to follow up on what we're going to do and this and that. Well, it's more important to recognize the needs of the people, because that road connects to Route 59, right? Eventually, because you said you have nothing to do with it before. Remember I asked that question and you said, no, there's no bridge? Oh, there is a
The
bridge.
bridge over in Plainfield.
Yeah. So, and it already has, the bridge is already going, the sign on the bridge says 143rd Street. So it's going to go from Route 59 to 143rd Street in Homer Township.
There's no connection bridge over the DuPage,
It's,
Des Plaines River.
it's,
There's one over the DuPage.
right now they have a bridge that's going to nowhere. But the plan is what? An IDOT plan to go all the way to 143rd Street and connect to 355.
There's no document that says that.
I was told by people that bid the job.
I
I've
need to
heard you
interject
say
here.
that, sir, and that is not factual.
So why did they build a bridge and stop somewhere?
To serve the villages of Plainfield.
What I'm saying, they're building a bridge and stop, not going over anything. It's going to stop. So the bridge to nowhere,
Jeff.
there's somewhere.
1 second. Jeff, can you clarify on this? Because this bridge in Plainfield, this is the 143rd Street section. There's some bridge. Do you know what that is? I don't know if it's in.
I'm
your-
aware of that bridge. It's in Plainfield over the DuPage River.
Yeah. So
There's
step
another
bridge,
river, much larger river,
the
closer
Des
to
Plaines.
Homerland, the Des Plaines, which there is
Which-
no bridge for.
Thank you. And I'm just trying to get that to be clarified. The Des Plaines, that's if we were going over the bridge, the 9th Street Bridge, you'd look to your left
No,
and you'd see it, right?
no, it's not 9th Street Bridge. It's
Well,
going,
I think he's using that as an example of that type of bridge over that river.
probably. I mean, I'm not a bridge.
But that's
I'm
not there. That's what you're referencing right now.
I'm referencing the fact that there's a bridge that's from Route 59 and it's going to connect to 355 at one point at 143rd Street. And the sign on the bridge that they put up already, it's already up, not the whole thing, but it's already up. It's like the bridge that stops. And come on, no one's going to build a bridge that's going to stop. Why would you spend all that money on a bridge that's going to go nowhere? It makes no sense. So it's going to keep going. It's just going to take a little bit of time, but it's going to connect to 143rd and 355. So now you're going to have an expressway basically from 59 to 355. And that means all the traffic that comes from the north, from Wisconsin side or the north part of Chicago or whatever, down 355 can go west or east. So that's going to make a lot more truck traffic and car traffic going west and east. So the quickest route right now is Route 80, just to take 10 minutes further and then you go wherever you want. But we got 159th Street too. That wasn't there when we started this plan. So now, if you can take one of them, why do we have to have 143rd? Is this some kind of a design? The mayor of Orland Park, he doesn't want this road because it'll ruin his town. The new mayor,
Do you know where you got that information from?
from the new mayor.
I've seen a text that says the exact opposite from the mayor.
The mayor told me that he wants only the part where Southwest Highway is at fixed. That's it, because it's a terrible flood zone.
Well, it's within his village limits, so that would be his priority.
Yeah, but they don't want the rest of it because you'd have to take the forest preserve out, not the whole thing, but a portion of forest preserve in Orland Park. I mean, if you talk to him, did he tell you that?
This
That
is
he-
a, this
that
is
you
a
don't have
text
the
I was,
money
this
to
is just a
pay for
text I was
some.
given that's showing that they still want the improvements. So we have a difference of.
Yeah, but we're
Very
going,
different.
this is getting off topic. So, yeah.
A little bit.
lot. But what I think the important thing is that we have to recognize that when we're building these roads, they can be, as you said, changeability. I guess that's a good word. Chuck, do you hear that? Changeability? I like that word. All right, so if you got changeability, why couldn't we do changeability a year and a half ago? And just do the 3 lanes? I mean, we thought about it, and then the county board voted for it. It doesn't, and now you got people up here, it's not as many as before. And a lot of people are disgusted. But how do you protect those people's rights and the rest of the people in Homer Township, the unincorporated part, which is about 3.6 miles or 3.2 miles, and the village part, which is small part, 1 point something miles. So how do you protect those people? You know, the entire town from 143rd Street all the way out south to the end of our town is against 143rd Street. Everybody. It's not, you'd have to look real hard to find somebody that's in favor of this thing.
I've had people tell me they were in favor of it, including some of the people we have purchased the property from.
If you took a vote for it, would it pass a vote? The answer is no way in hell.
Well, all I'm going to say, and then I'm going to stop talking about this project, is I am working off and have in the plan a contract for a 5-lane cross section. That's the contract I have been given to execute, and that's why it's in the plan. Again, if something changes over the next year, the next plan will reflect that.
So if we took the 5 lanes out and made it a 3-lane, then that's still okay, because we can change it. We have changeability.
Well, here I am talking again anyways. The phase 1 study we did, approved by IDOT and feds, according to all the design criteria that transportation officials use, calls for a 5-lane cross section. It meets those criteria. And that's why when you do a project, you look 20 years ahead, because it takes us 10 years or more to even build a road. You plan for the future.
Well,
Again, as I mentioned last week, the
Yeah.
traffic volumes was on IDOT's website, 12,300.
yeah, well,
In 2023, 15,300, $3,000, 3,000 vehicles more a day in just a matter of years with no growth in Homer Glen. So the background community, which we serve as a whole, is using the road more and more. So that's why we are still behind the study provided. Now, again, the county board will decide the contract that needs to move forward. But right now, the contract I have is for a 5-lane cross section, and that's why it's in the plan today.
well, the 5-lane thing goes right through Homer Glen, then it goes to Cook County.
It does.
So who are we servicing? The people from Wisconsin and Lake County and McHenry County? Or are we servicing the people from Homer Township that don't want it? When you talk about this, we're servicing the expansion. We have less population now in Homer Township. People are moving because of the taxes and the water bill in Homer Glen. So we're losing population. We're not gaining it.
But the
So-
traffic volume is increasing, sir. That's all I can say. The
Well,
facts are there.
yes,
And we're serving a county highway as a regional road. It is defined, classified by IDOT as a regional road. And our county highways do that. They move from a
What's
transportation
150
place to another transportation point.
and what's 159th Street?
That's a major arterial.
Yes.
We're a minor arterial.
Well, 159th Street won't be as big as 143rd Street. Because 143rd Street will go from Route 59 eventually all the way to Cicero. 159th Street doesn't, you got the bridge, and then you got, it goes into nowhere land, really. It stops. So 143rd Street will be much bigger than 159th Street. It'll almost be the size of, I don't know, I have to look at a map, but like Route 80.
To member Balich for the second time before we go to member Butler, then member Ogala, and I didn't see anybody else. So Steve, if you could, you've had a lot of time, just make it quick.
It's going to be quick. I just want to clarify something. If we had won the election, we would have did from the township side, our road commissioner was we already wrote it up. We were just waiting to win the election, but we didn't. So it didn't go anywhere. We're going to do a jurisdictional transfer of the part of Homer Township of 143rd to us. And our road commissioner said that we wouldn't have to increase, like you were kind of vague, but he said that, and Brent Porfilio was our road commissioner, and he's an award-winning engineer. So I don't want, he's got a lot of qualifications. He does roads all over the United States. He said that you'd have to take just a tiny portion of the land with a 3-lane thing compared to a 5-lane thing. And so I said, well, what's a tiny portion? He says, well, there's a lot of ways you could do this thing. But if you, one of the ways, which he didn't do the numbers, so he didn't know for sure, but you can put your pipes and stuff for sewer and water and all, that stuff in the middle lane and not have to increase it hardly at all. You can, then there's a question about curb and gutters, so that should, in my mind, it should make it so you take less land. But he said, well, we got to do the numbers on that too. But he said for what we're doing with 3 lanes, it's definitely going to be less land getting taken than 5 lanes. So that's all I wanted to say.